Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Monday, February 15th, 2021. Glad everyone could tune in tonight on this edition of our Grand Solar Minimum News Update. Got a lot to talk about tonight. First, let's start with the basics here, the space weather part of this. Our solar wind speeds are coming in at a 347.3 kilometers per second with a density of 7.2. Now, we had solar wind that arrived over the weekend on Saturday. It was actually a day early. We had a couple of earthquakes also that occurred earlier in the day on February 13th, this past Saturday. The 7.1 off the coast of Japan. And I think we had a 6.1 after that in PNG. Well, so again, just more correlation, space weather. The sun does affect more than just our climate. We are now 11 days in a row without sunspots. That is now 28 days so far in 2021, 61% of the year. And I wanted to talk about that for a minute because I've mentioned this in a couple of shows, plus just from knowledge of this is scientists believe that a slow starting solar cycle is a indication of a weaker cycle as well, especially knowing what we know about solar cycle 24 already in the beginning of that. So with that, I want to kind of look at the solar minimums of the past here just briefly. Right now we're sitting pardon me, at 28 days without sunspots. 11 years ago, which was 2010, we had 51 days without sunspots. That was 14% of the year. Now, 2009 was the bottom of the minimum. So it'll be interesting to compare solar cycle 24 versus solar cycle 25's beginning. 2010, beginning of solar cycle, solar cycle 24, around about that time, right after the minimum, and it only had 51 days without sunspots, which means that 2010 was an active year. Over 300 days of the year were days with sunspots. And it's early right now, so it's too early to say whether or not, who knows? We may get sunspot activity after 40 days without sunspots, and then the rest of the year we get sunspots. So really, this year is going to be the judge of just how much weaker we could see solar cycle 25 compared to 24. And I'm bringing this fact up because we've talked about sunspot numbers. Starman David Birch on Twitter pointed out that this past minimum, we saw in this last solar cycle the 6th highest spotless days since the early 1800s. So think about that for a minute. The 6th highest spotless days in a cycle since the early 1800s. We are seeing a downtick in solar activity, and it gets weaker and weaker. And NASA's already come out and said that they expect solar cycle 25 to be weak, about the equal strength of 24. Now, that's them being modest, okay? Because you're told that AGW is real and it's the consensus, and that, we are indeed warming every year. But if you get NASA and NOAA to just come out and flat admit that this grand solar minimum period has begun, and we are starting to see the effects of it already, that would pretty much give you the indication, the loud and clear, that there is no man-made climate change. And we could sit here and debate this all night, but the fact of the matter is, you take it from the experts. And over at SPACEWEATHER.com, I had read from them before that a slow starting cycle means a weak cycle, and maybe even a weaker cycle. It just depends on how long it takes to get going. So let's read yesterday. Solar minimum. This was on their website, Valentine's Day. Solar minimum conditions are in effect. We've seen that headline many times. But solar minimum, how can we miss you if you don't go away? So far this year, the sun has been blank without sunspots 61% of the time, including the last 11 days in a row. Solar flare activity is nil, and the sun's X-ray output has flatlined. The surprising quiet spell comes from the heels of a surge of solar activity late last year. New solar cycle 25 is off to a sputtering start. That's the end of the article. Sputtering. It's not gaining traction. So, we are getting signs in solar cycle 25 already that are showing us that this cycle could be weaker than solar cycle 24. And remember, we had a smooth sunspot count number of, I believe it was 118, 121, somewhere around there for solar cycle 24. And the prediction for 25 is somewhere around 115, I believe. NASA's number anyway. I think that's cute. I think it's going to be lower than that. A lot of people out there that I trust. We're talking somewhere between 90 and 101 smooth sunspot count for solar cycle 25. And right now, it just, to me, everything's pointed in that direction. So we will see. And the rest of this year, we will be able to compare just about how much weaker the beginning of solar cycle 25 is compared to solar cycle 24 just here in the next few months. We're already at 28 days, okay? In 2010, there was only 51 days without sunspots. So we're already surpassing, we're on pace to crush, actually, those days. It could be 3 times that many days spotless in 2021. So that would be very interesting to see basically a hangover for solar cycle 25 to get started. All right, let's go over to the grandsolarminimum.com and check a couple of instruments out here real fast. As I read on the article from SPACEWEATHER.com yesterday, everything has pretty much flatlined. That is putting it lightly. There you see the solar X-ray flux, nothing happening there. Geomagnetic activity, even on the 13th, the solar wind arrived. We never got anything higher than a KP of 4, so we didn't even have a G1 storm. And that's another indication, guys. We are now into month number 7 of the solar cycle. I believe scientists called solar cycle 25 began somewhere in July of 2020. And I would say that's a fair starting point for solar cycle 25. But really, I mean, here we are 7 months into the cycle, and some of these coronal holes, we're struggling to see G1 storms, guys. That means the sun is really weak. Okay, we're supposed to be upticking towards maximum activity here in the next 4 years. And the way this cycle is starting off is so weak. I mean, the coronal hole that affected Earth's magnetic sphere should have at least produced a G1. And we're still not seeing that consistency of G1 storms. Again, we probably should be around the G2s a little bit more. Maybe flirting with some G3s every once in a while. So to me, I don't have to tell you that this solar cycle is struggling to show any life or any traction right now to getting started. The proof is right here in front of us. We're looking at a blank sun once again. I will point this out. This was a pretty rare situation. This is actually is a region that is trying to form as a sunspot, and that is very rare. And I'm going to continue to do more research on that, but that is very peculiar. Something I hadn't seen before, but it almost formed into a legit sunspot, according to yesterday's article, or today, I should say. Actually, we could roll over to spaceweather.com. This is another area that we thought that could have been active, but no go. There's our next coronal hole that will be Earth-facing here soon. We should see effects from this coronal hole somewhere around February 21st. To me, it's interesting that spaceweather.com has already put a date on this coronal hole. Usually we wait until we see this thing Earth facing. That way we get a pretty good idea if this thing holds together, or it could expand. But nonetheless, we have gotten a date about 6 days out, which, like I said, usually they're about 2 to 3 days before they predict any dates. So good for SPACEWEATHER.com for trying to give us the heads up for sure. Now, let's take a look here and see if we have anything that could present itself as sunspot activity. And I do see something in the southeastern limb, just behind the eastern limb, actually, in the southern region once again. And there is also a brighter active region a little bit further behind. Now that is new. Last check earlier, I did not see that. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit and let's check it out. So move up a little bit more. All right. This is where our active region in the northern part of our star. It's on the right at the -120, so it's well beyond the eastern limb. Here's the eastern limb. Here is Earth facing. So this right here, this region right here, would take several days to get here. And we're probably talking somewhere between the 7 to 9 day range, the sunspot. But this is what I'm watching here, and this is getting ready to breach the eastern limb. So, but I will say in the SDO, you can see in the corona outside here of the SDO image I have in your lower left-hand corner, and I believe that this is causing that to kind of buff out. So it's not even near the eastern limb, and we're already seeing this corona kind of bowing out here in the northern part of the sun. But I am looking at these two active regions right here, and as it will pierce the eastern limb by tomorrow. So we will know if we have any sunspots. So far, 11 days in a row without sunspots, and it does not look like a sun that is beginning a new cycle at this time. It's very quiet, some pretty impressive coronal holes, nothing major. And like I said, the geomagnetic storms, they're not happening, and they should be by now. So just lots of proof in the facts that this cycle is struggling to take off the way it should right now. All right, heavy snowfall grips in Istanbul, Turkish, Thrace, and shuts down waterways. I wanted to report this tonight because we're talking about snow all over the globe here lately, but this is from Sunday. Snow began to fall over Istanbul, Turkey, most populated city, late Saturday, commencing a week of projected sleet amid fears of a harsh winter the city has not experienced in years. And I have noticed a lot of pictures, thanks to, again, David Birch on Twitter. As I've noticed, he has been showing a lot of these pictures and videos of the snow that's falling right now. And it's quite impressive, very heavy snow. But here's the problem. The snowfall could last for up to 5 days with a severe drop in temperatures. Despite the ongoing weekend and nighttime curfews throughout the nation, traffic levels remain high due to decreased public transport ridership over COVID-19. Now, 5 days in a row, severe drop in temperature. Doesn't that sound familiar? And 87 is what they're comparing this winter to. So we know that was probably the last decade that we saw cold winters. Most of you who grew up 50s, 60s, and 70s and into the mid 80s, we had cold winters. And they kind of went away in the 90s and 2000s. And then I think they started making a comeback around 2014, slightly. So we started seeing some harsh weather again. So winds of 50 miles per hour with heavy snow. I mean, this is not the type of stuff that they're used to. I wish I could have got a total here, but I saw tons of video. Some probably up to 6 to 8 inches of snow. Very heavy. But again, what sounds familiar about this is the 5 days in a row with the snow and also the extreme cold. We're experiencing that here as well. It's not just one part of the region. Now we're starting to see in the very, very, very beginning of the grand solar minimum, we're already seeing these kinds of extremes happening in more than one spot at the same time. A little eerie, I'd admit. All right, powerful blizzard causes whiteout conditions in Northern Ireland. That's for today. Actually, this is reported on Saturday, February 13th, causing whiteout conditions. The harsh weather conditions came after the UK experienced its deepest extreme freeze in a decade, which brought record cold temperatures. Well, on February 11th, the country recorded its coldest night in more than 25 years. And that's right around the same era of mid-80s, of negative 9.4 degrees Fahrenheit, northern Scotland. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the 90s. While temperatures are set to get warmer from Monday, February 15th, they still forecast more snow to come this week. On Wednesday, February 17th, a low-pressure system is set to move up from the south, bringing widespread rain with the risk of flooding with some sleet and snow on the higher ground. So again, another part of the world, Northern Ireland, experiencing harsh cold, multiple storm systems bringing a lot of accumulating snow, ice, and rain. So now we've got two parts of the world that we're talking about, right? Move along. Major record-breaking snow blankets Moscow, Russia. This was snow that began on Thursday, February 11th. Capital city saw disruptions, travel delays, and record snowfall for February 12th. Russian weather service Phobos noted the wintry blast on Saturday, the 13th, was around 75% of the average of February snowfall. Now, Moscow gets snow, so that's a lot of snow, folks. Let's see what we got. Russian Meteorological Service noted sticking to the roads and car windshields by Friday morning. February 12th, windows had a thick rim of snow at the bottom. Russian Meteorological Service noted that the snowfall for February 12th broke a previous record set for the date of 1973, as it kept snowing into Saturday. Benches in the parks were under a snow depth of 22 inches. The amount of snow was close to surpassing a record high of 23.6 accumulated for February 13th, 1973. It's a real snowstorm, a real snow Armageddon, a snow apocalypse, says someone from their weather service there. This is not a practice alert, but a combat alert. 22 inches of snow is a lot of snow to deal with, especially with the temperatures they have to deal with as well. But this was a multiple day event. Started on Thursday, snowed through Saturday into the evening. And just in one day, they received 75% of February's snow average. Snow finally slowed down on Sunday, and it looks like temperatures could be going back up for Russia. Maybe some of the snow can stop as well. So Russia, Ireland, UK area, they've had their deep freeze. Turkey, Middle East. We talked about Saudi Arabia, the hailstorm. Seen lots of ice, lots of cooling, lots of snow. Again, this is winter in the Northern Hemisphere. I get that, right? I've been doing this now for 4 years, and I've never seen so many regions of the world being pummeled by old man winter at the same time. I mean, these are 22 inches, 30 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. I don't care where you live. A lot of snow, especially for one day. And again, this is all correlated to grand solar minimum type climate. Google it. Maunder minimum. Google it. Dalton minimum. It'll talk about cosmic radiation and how we receive more of that during these minimums, especially during grand solar minimums. Levels are at historic lows. We already talked about the beginning of this program on how already 25 is showing very, very weak signs of even existing right now, with 61% of the year being spotless. And I'm not saying it's going to continue this direction. Eventually it will. We will start seeing sunspots. I mean, eventually this cycle will start firing up again. The question is when, and we should have started seeing it now. So with a weaker sun, weaker magnetic field, weaker solar wind, allowing more cosmic radiation into our atmosphere because our magnetosphere is also weak. Highly charged particles forming cloud nucleation and high amounts of precipitation is what's causing these big snow events and multiple days of it. This is just the beginning, guys. We're going to see winters once the GSM is well underway. We're going to see winters like this on a common. It's not going to be a matter of if you're going to get snow that stays on the ground. It's going to be a matter of when are you going to get that snow that's going to stay on the ground for the entire winter. It'll be expected. It'll be like death in Texas. Snow is going to fall and it's going to stay here all winter long, maybe through April. Especially in the late 2020s and into the 2030s and into the early 2040s before things start ticking back up towards the end of this grand solar minimum, which is expected to last through 2055. Moscow, Middle East, Europe. And now here in the U.S., United States of America, more than 1.4 million homes without power as unprecedented winter storm hits Texas. Extreme cold temperatures and frozen precipitation blanket the entire state, crippling transportation and infrastructure. Governor Greg Abbott issued a statewide disaster declaration on February 12th, warning all residents the state faces an unprecedented winter storm. Not only one, but two. Okay, all 254 Texas counties were placed under a winter storm warning on Saturday, February 13th. Same as Oklahoma and Arkansas on Sunday. And it's going to happen again in 2 days. What they just got, they're going to get another round of almost the exact same amount, if not more. Now, as of Monday morning, more than 150 million Americans were under a winter storm warning, ice storm warnings, winter storm watches, winter weather advisories. And he ain't lying. Look at this. This is the current, well, I can show you the current watch, but that pink is winter storm warning. Okay. The purple is the watches and advisories, believe it or not. And it looks like Michigan, you guys are just under advisory. Now, that means different things, though, in different parts of the United States. So that could still mean Michigan's getting 5 inches of snow, 6 inches of snow, because their standards are a little bit higher. They get more snow. But one day after record-breaking energy use across Texas on Sunday, February 14th, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas declared an energy emergency, Alert 3. Think about that for a minute, folks. And not just here in Texas, but in Kansas today, the governor declared it a state of emergency in Kansas and urged Kansas residents to not turn their thermostats past 65 to 68. I remember we got the same kind of notices last winter. We got some cold stuff. But if we're talking about rolling blackouts now, during the fossil fuel age, imagine the rolling blackouts we're going to have when the Biden administration tries to advance his Green New Deal policy. Now, listen, I'm all for clean air and clean water, but the problem is not going to be that we're cleaning the air and water too much. The problem is going to be is that we are not going to have enough power, especially during a grand solar minimum. Solar is not going to carry the grid, and there is not battery storage capable. I don't care what you say out there. I haven't seen it yet. If there was battery storage capability for that, for the grid, it would already be here. It would already be here. Same thing with the whole CO2 is causing warming. If CO2 is really causing a climate emergency, wouldn't we have just banned it? Wouldn't it be since there's 97% consensus, why are we even making this debatable issue then, right? Why don't you just ban all emissions? You don't, because you know that it's not true. That's why China's allowed to pay all these credit carbon taxes. Just here, well, if you're not going to stop burning, you're going to pay. And somebody's getting rich. These countries, this Paris Treaty, this money that's getting paid to these countries, trust me, it all comes back in full circle, all right? Don't let anybody tell you that our tax dollars are paying for these billion-dollar or million-dollar funding of the countries that comply. Trust me, that money they're paying the countries to comply is coming from the revenue that places like China and India and other places that pay carbon credits, and the profit they get from that's what's paying for it. So the whole idea of the Paris Treaty climate is a motivational spike to change the economy, do something that a group of people who have found common interest and feel like that this would be the best way to advance their agenda and their policies and to get rich, has introduced this whole new economy of green technology. It's going to be green, it's going to save the planet, everything, blah, blah, blah. Yet we're being told that we're warming. Okay? But it's so warm out right now that we're having rolling blackouts because of how much cold we have and how much increased energy is being used across areas that don't use this much natural gas, because it doesn't get cold like this. But it will. It's going to continue to do this, folks. We'll get a little break in 2024, 2025. It might be close to what a normal seasons are supposed to look like, maybe, with a couple of strong storms here and there. But once we start coming back out of this maximum, heading into 26, 27, 28, 29, that's when the real stuff starts. So what we're getting right now, let it sink in. Remember what you did to adapt to the situation you were in, because these are the type of things that you have to look forward to on a more frequent basis once this grand solar minimum continues to get momentum. Ice everywhere. Not only are we talking about a snowstorm, but down south, isolated tornado risks to develop in the southeastern U.S. I can tell you right now, I've been watching weather all day today, and I've counted at least 6 different tornado warnings, at least a radar indicated tornado. So here we are. It's February, the middle of February. We've got tornadoes on the ground. We've got ice on the ground. We've got freezing temperatures in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I mean, crazy to see so much extreme happening at once. And again, it's not just today. It's tomorrow. It's Wednesday. And then a small break before Thursday. The Ohio Valley and Friday, the Northeast gets pounded with another 6 to 10 inches for most people who just got 8 to 12 inches. So this comes full circle, right? Here we are. We have Northern Ireland and the UK that had an extended period of snow and cold records being shattered. We have an extended period of snow falling in Turkey. We have an extended period of snow, record-breaking cold, and snow falling in Moscow. And now here in the United States, we are dealing with 2 major winter storms that are going down the exact same track as what we're seeing right now. All of this here in the dark blue is going to have this repeated in about 2 days. I mean, to the T. These areas that are getting snow now are going to be the same ones. Maybe this might trek a little bit further south and spread out a little bit more. But for the most part, if you're getting 8 to 12, you're probably getting 6 to 10 on Thursday and Friday. This is Wednesday through Friday. More snow moving into the Ohio Valley, into the Northeast. More ice to the south of that. And, you know, the rest of the month, here we are talking about Kentucky here, folks. 6 to 9 inches of snow in parts of Kentucky. All right. Elizabethtown, Hardensburg, Litchfield, Hartford, Morgantown, Greenville counties, all in the 6 to 9. Campbellsville, Hodgeville, Manfordville, Glasgowville. Just kidding. Glasgow. 3 to 6 inches with snow and sleet, and then 1 to 3 inches in the far southeast counties of Albany, Burkesville, Columbia. 1 to 3 inches of snow. Impressive weather events here, especially the 6 to 9 inches here in parts of central Kentucky and Northwest. So, I mean, you know, Texas breaking records. Here we are, ice storm 2021, parts of New Jersey, New York experiencing significant icing already. Brace yourselves as we are expecting 2 more winter storms this week. The first starting Monday night. That's what we're talking about right now. But this could be a major ice storm for areas north and west of New York City. Here you see the map. Kingston, which is well south of us. So this is near, okay, so Scranton, Pennsylvania, looking at the possibility of a ½ inch of ice. They don't know. They can't really pinpoint. You know, I haven't seen anybody really pinpoint the actual ice totals for tonight in most places, but it looks like it's going to be heaviest through Pennsylvania, central New York, and southern capital region of New York, heading through Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire as well. But really, we've had ice threats from Texas all the way to Maine. So just incredible weather system that is moving through right now. Let's take a look at the watch. Well, that's the next few days. Weather, there's one storm out, and here comes the second one right on the doorstep. Question is, do we get a break? I hope so. But right now, we're dealing with these next 2 major winter storms. The darker purple is ice storm warnings, and we are definitely seeing the ice in these regions down here. Maybe some mixing up here far northern in the capital region of New York later tonight, but for the most part, the heavy snow will be just north of where Mari and I are. The North Country here, you guys are going to get pounded. Central New York, Jerome, heads up. You, I think, might be in a winter storm warning. Folks in Erie, PA, Northeast Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, all the way through Southwest Kentucky, Tennessee, through Missouri and Arkansas. I mean, this is impressive. Huge line of storms, huge line of watches. And if you go behind it, we're talking about wind chill advisories, cold temperatures being broken across the plain states here, folks. This right here is going to be extremely cold. In fact, in Lincoln, Nebraska, Matt, I don't know how far away you are from this, and my thoughts and prayers are with your cattle tonight, because negative 33 degrees in Lincoln, Nebraska tonight. So hopefully the cattle will be warm tonight, but this is devastating weather here, folks, for farmers across the central plain states and in the northern plains as well. So we've really got to kind of take caution here the next couple of days. If you don't have to be anywhere, don't go anywhere. Stay home. If you don't have to go to work, don't go to work. Some kids are on winter break right now anyway. Here in the Northeast, I know our kids are at this time. And if you have nowhere to go to bar, stay off the roads. We've seen way too many accidents. Already have lost 11 lives from this storm, and that number is going up as well. So let's go over to windy.com and check out some live footage. I'll go ahead and refresh this so we get the new cameras here. I am hoping we get some light, although snow in Albany already. Looks like maybe a fresh inch. If you guys can see here, there is street right here. So that is definitely snow covered. And again, we're not really supposed to get the majority of it tonight. Let's go a little bit further north here in New York. Where are we at here? Old Forge. All looking like old winter out here, that's for sure. This is the latest image from North Country here in New York. Let's go a little bit further west here and check out areas that are experiencing it as we speak. A little bit heavier. Let's see if I can zoom in here, folks. Oh boy. Taking a little bit of time. Let's take a look at Erie. Its heaviest right now is falling. And guys, on top of, I mean, those roads look totally covered. Very snow covered, although this does look like a construction area. Maybe it's not even open. Nope, there's a car right there. So heavy snow across Erie. That also is lake effect snow that is taking place. Again, this is not the storm. No. It's actually, I got to go backwards on. This will be. Okay. The radar thing was not working the way I wanted to, so I'll just go straight to the 18Z here on Tropical Tidbits. And we will back this up all the way. So, tomorrow, Tuesday, right now, what we're experiencing in New York, this is the light stuff, okay? This is just the light stuff right now. The worst of it's still back here in southern Illinois, Indiana, and now southwest Ohio. If you are I-70, if you're at the I-70, I-75 marker, anything north of I-70 is all snow for real. And if you live below the 70 I-70 highway, especially to the southeast, like Greene County, definitely you're looking more on that ice sleet line right now as we speak. So the heaviest of the stuff still not here yet in the northeast, and we probably already received about an inch or two of snow here where we are. This storm will continue to move all the way through the Ohio Valley into the northeast Tuesday night. GFS showing as if it might have some rain that could mix in with this storm. Now, unless something has changed on forecast, which is interesting. That was not in place. So it's a little bit different from what I saw earlier. I will go ahead and double verify this really quick because that changes the totals here in this part of New York as well. Let's see what they're saying now. Nope, they're still calling for the same amount of snow. All right, so this storm moves on through Tuesday into Wednesday, and then the next one builds up back here. Again, same areas, not far as south this time, but we're close enough. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, you guys are like, no thanks. I don't want round two. Well, too bad. Round two develops, and it gets really icy again for parts of southwestern Texas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And this storm tracks a little bit more to the east, so it's going to be heavy, but this is mainly going to be affecting the northeast more than I'd say it would Ohio. It doesn't really build up the same strength, and when it does, it's already past the Ohio Valley. So this form's a little bit stronger, but more to the southeast. This track that we're doing right now is more a little bit north of this one right here. So pretty close to the same pattern, but anyway, still expecting 6 to 10 inches of snow in upstate New York and beyond into the northeast. That storm is all snow for the northeast by the end of the week. Here we are on Saturday. Some lake effect snow, another system moving across the Great Lakes, and more snow by Monday. That's right, 7 days from now in the northeast. But the GFS is not real confident it really stays together much as a storm. And then maybe another brief Alberta Clipper coming through on Wednesday, February 24th. Again, GFS suggesting it's going to be light. A lot of the colder air is going to be to the north, folks. The south is trying to warm up, but Old Man Winter tightens its grip once again on Friday, February 26th. Again, the GFS is indicating another storm system that could bring another significant dumping of snow about a week after the two storms we get this week. So I know these are pretty far out, the 26th and all. But the GFS has been really good about signaling the kind of weather to expect around here. And it looks like if you live in New York and in the New England area, we're going to be dealing with wave after wave of snow showers all the way through March. It's my opinion at this, just looking at the models. I know these are still far away, but the signal here has been consistent. And I don't think winter is going anywhere anytime soon if you live anywhere near Pennsylvania, like Scranton, Pennsylvania, all the way through the Northeast. Same with the Northern Plains states. Let's hope we see a thaw soon. We'll check that out in the temperatures. This is on 14th, 15th. Here we are. More record-breaking temperatures on the 17th. Starting to ease up a little bit by the 18th. Still cold across the United States. Saturday, more cold across the Ohio Valley into Pennsylvania, Northeast. And then we get a little bit of a ridge and fridge. Easy to say. And look at that. Temperatures in the green. Nice, huh? Got some thawing maybe? I don't know. Mid-30s, lower 40s really doesn't really do a lot of thawing for 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh, we got some 50s and 60s coming up. But the Northeast, the Great Lakes, and the Northern Plains cool off again. Typical La Nina pattern. And it does appear that the Arctic area is trying to make a reappearance. Now, the difference is that it's going to be met with a little bit more resistance because of how it's trying to heat up in the south. So can you believe, if you live in Texas, we're talking about blizzards and snow and ice, and then in 13 days, we'll be talking, heck, not even that long. 10 days, 10 days. You guys will be in the mid-70s, lower 80s. It's insane. That's the up and down grand solar minimum volatile weather pattern. Anyway, so is this Arctic cold trying to make a comeback? Maybe. Another decent ridge and fridge here at the end of the month, February. A few days in the mid-30s will be nice here in the Northeast, but look at that. February 27th, that cold Arctic air making its approach once again, and it is doing a better job at containing all the heat in Florida. So it's only summer in Florida by February 27th. The rest of the nation, again, possibly could be dealing with another cold spill here from the Arctic once again. And this goes to March 3rd. To me, this is an indication that we can receive another blast of polar vortex Arctic air in the first week of March. It won't last as long, and this could be close to the peak of it. But I can tell you, just with this pattern here, there's a lot of cold air in the Arctic, and I'll show you right now. This is March 3rd. Plenty of cold air here in the Arctic and in northern Canada. And this is all flowing as well, transferred to the Arctic Circle and into Canada. Now, I think the Northeast and the Great Lakes are going to see, and the Northern Plains are going to be the victims of this next polar vortex. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out for the next couple of weeks. Again, this is still pretty far away. There are indications that spring is trying to sprung and warm up a little bit in the south, but it's amazing to me that we're going to be dealing with temperatures near, 75 degrees, 80 degrees on February 25th after dealing with this cold that we've had. And then really, temperatures kind of go away again by the 27th. They're flirting to come back, but that cold Arctic air is really making it difficult for Texas to get back to its normal climate. So indications for me right now, as far as the storm goes, we are looking at a situation where we're going to get extreme of winter weather, cold temperatures, snow, ice, and in the southeast, we're dealing with tornadoes. We could also be dealing with more severe weather with the next system that comes through as well if it warms up just like it did now. So as we brace ourselves looking at this live on the radar, see the interactive map, shall we? Let's watch it. So this storm is already, in my opinion too, folks, I think this thing is trekked a little bit farther north than expected. And that could change a lot if you live in upstate New York, for instance. Now let's let this thing do its loop here. But I think this storm has definitely trekked a little bit further north than expected. This ice line here was forecasted to be a little bit more over here, but it's already approaching the southwestern part of New York this high. I'm curious to see if this storm lifts up a little bit further north and brings more icing to the region than expected. So something to watch here. This could be nothing. This thing could straighten out by the overnight hours and just plow straight through east. But right now, this storm, it looks like it might be trekking a little bit further north. And if that's the case, it is possible it could bring temperatures up just a tad. And bear with me, folks. I just got it. Okay. So while we have been on the air, we have had 2 earthquakes just now. In fact, the Tonga region was a 6.7, and Port Vila in Vanuatu was a 6.7. Let's go back and check out the Tonga region. So let's go over to Usgs, as we just had an alert 3 minutes ago that we've had 2 strong earthquakes. And boy, what a week. Last week anyway. A couple of 7 strong earthquakes. But now, let's go to thegrandsolarminimum.com. Check out our USGS is also linked into our website. So let's check it out. There is the Vanuatu earthquake, 6.7. There is a tsunami watch on this earthquake. And then a 6.7. 6.7, both of them with the same depth. Let's drag this out a little bit. Wow. So this is the Vanuatu, and this is the Tonga region. And this is evidence, folks, of a plate shift, in my opinion. These earthquakes are 5 seconds apart. Same depth, same magnitude, 5 seconds apart. So this is breaking news right now. We have 2 strong earthquakes. There seems to be some sort of shifting here going on, because you have 2 earthquakes that are miles apart from each other. They happen 5 seconds apart. So this will be something interesting to watch, folks. Again, we have 2 earthquakes with the same magnitude of 6.7 and the same depth of 8.7 miles. Now, there is a possible tsunami watch for this. Right now is just a watch, an advisory at this time. There is no warning or advisory. So that is coming from the tsunami warning system here of NOAA. We will keep our eyes open just in case if we see any updates on that as we are nearing the end of our broadcast here. Again, 2 strong moderate earthquakes, and boy, you guys just saw that in real time. The 6.7 in the Tonga region just disappeared. So I don't know if that was a misreport or what, but maybe they didn't like that it was caught live. You folks will remember here at the 49-minute mark of this video, we saw USGS update their earthquake list live. They took off the earthquake in the Tonga region. Now we just had the 6.7 Port Vila, Vanuatu. So interesting set of events that just occurred here, folks. Very, very interesting here. All right, let's check out the power outages real quick, too, because I forgot to report on that. Power outages all over the United States, especially in the South. This is where the storm is. This is where the storm is and where it's going. And we're next here in the Northeast. Millions of customers right now without power across Texas, across parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky. Let's get some numbers here. 71,000 in the state of Kentucky, 15,000 only in Tennessee, 47,000 out in Mississippi, 14,000 customers without power in Alabama, Louisiana, 111,000 people, and Texas right now with 3.8 million customers without power. We go over here to West Virginia, 47,500 without power, 85,000 without power in Virginia, and only 10,000 without power here in North Carolina. Coming over here to New Jersey, 30,000 people without power already in the great state of Ohio, 11,000 people. Also, Oregon, 310,000 people are without power. They are also dealing with winter weather. As I showed you before on the GFS outlook, there is system after system invading this country on the northwest side and across the United States. We will see this wintry pattern, especially for the northern plains, Great Lakes, and the Northeast, continue. We will see a couple of mild and tolerant days here in the near future. They won't last very long. I do believe we are not done with the cold by any means. This cold temperatures will be back by the first week of March, and just because where we are in the seasons, we won't see that really brutal cold stick around for as long as we've seen it right now, as we will be approaching the spring here soon. And I know a lot of you out there are definitely ready for some spring weather, if not summer weather already. All right, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Give a few shout outs out here. I want to say hello to Thor as Odin's axe. Good to see you out here again. Per Strandberg, how are you doing, sir? Great to see you in the chat as well. And Matt, I saw Matt Bros in here. Dorothy Rose, good evening to you. Knife Collector and Veg, we call you Veg. Yeah, we'll just go with Veg. And others that I may have missed. Jerome, hello. Richard, hello. Great to see all the new faces as well. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. I would like for you guys to leave a comment in our chat, or actually in the comment section of our show afterwards. Tell us where you're from and give us the temperature and how much snow you've gotten or how much snow you haven't received. But we'd like to hear from you. In the last episode, I think we heard from about 60 of you who gave us a report on your weather. So we want to continue to hear those numbers, and hopefully we can try to find a way to combine them all and report on some of the more extreme numbers that we get in the comment section. So keep up that participation. We appreciate your support. Give us a like if you haven't already, and please be safe out there, guys. And we will be back with breaking news, if any, from the earthquakes tonight if we have to, especially updating on the report for this winter storm as it heads into the Northeast tonight into tomorrow. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk soon. Take care, everybody.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform. Buy a t-shirt or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.